Here are the hidden costs that is killing your e-commerce D2C sales. Again, I love just going down list, but at the top of this list, so if I were to go in and analyze a D2C brand, I'm looking for a few things that are hidden that we typically don't pay attention to. And so one of the big things that I see is returns, product returns, right? Without tracking mechanisms in place, we might just think like, oh, this product's returned. But when you start breaking it down and you're like, okay, we paid shipping to the customer, we had to pay shipping back to the customer, we lost the packaging, right? Can't reuse the packaging. If this product's not usable, now that cost of goods is gone. What was the time to actually try to restock this or validate that we could restock it? Now, those are potentially hidden costs within your business that you just want to understand. Now, if you don't have your own warehouse using a 3PL, just make sure that they're providing you these kind of reports that you can quickly analyze it and you can understand the costs of the returned items that are coming back to you. What is the percentage that you have the ability to restock and to resell? One other thing that I see, this is more for growing brands, but all brands in and of itself, is chargebacks. If you're a smaller brand, you might not see this as much, but you have to be aware of this, right? There's just credit card fraud out there everywhere. So for example, one of my clients has a subscription product. And once we started digging in, we had noticed that there would be one customer that would order 9 products on a subscription. So they got this huge discount. And then sure enough, a month later, chargeback filed, fraudulent. Well, those products went out. So we lost that. Revenue got taken back out of our account. So we lost that. And then there was a fee for this chargeback. And then, it's up to us if we want to fight it. Do we want to pay more to actually fight these chargebacks? On the front end, there are services that you could get that can automatically fight chargebacks for you, that if you're starting to see that it's significant, are actually worth it, that you don't have to worry about. Just make sure that you have all the protections in place to prevent chargeback as much as you can. So chargebacks is one of the top. And this is one thing that I always hound on. And I should probably start with this. This should have probably been my number one. But it's just truly understanding your cost of goods sold. You have different shipments that are coming in. And so you need to understand, is there fluctuation? Is there fluctuation in inbound freight? Just truly understand your cost of goods, because you might be looking at your profit one month and you're like, oh, wow, we did good this month. And then you realize, oh, we actually had an increase of 20% on our cost of goods sold. That barely happens, but we have these tariffs coming. So you never know. Understand your cost of goods sold and just be on top of it. Now, as I'm talking about cost of goods sold, as you are growing, one silent killer is people never go back and negotiate with their vendors. So if you start increasing your supply that you're ordering, go back to your manufacturer and ask for a discount. Lower cost. We're ordering more volume. How can we reduce this? Understand your packaging. Are there area ways to cut without having a negative effect on your brand, right? Okay, so that's first and foremost. But there are potentially ways that you can save on money between inventory, negotiating with vendors, and potentially packaging. Are there different processes? Are there different colors? Are there different sources of material? Ask these questions of your vendors. Develop those relationships with them and understand in the back of your mind, or understand with your vendors that, hey, let's pre-negotiate. So once I start ordering 5,000 units, I need that 10% discount. Once we get to 20,000, I need another 20%, right? Put that in place. Another one that I see is just tech stack creep, right? We're in the D2C world. There's all these apps on Shopify. There's all of these services. AI is creeping in. We test these services out. We have the 7-day free trial, and then we're like, this doesn't really work. Yet we never cancel it, and it's just reoccurring on the credit card. Or we have people on our team that leave, yet we're still paying for their license on the service. So you need to just make sure you're staying on top of that. And so what we do with clients is every quarter we go through credit card, all expense transactions. We group it by vendor so you can see how much is paying each and every month, and you can run a quick comparison, and you're like, okay, this should have been canceled. This should have been canceled. Great, we canceled this, and just really run through it from a high level. And then from there, you can kind of dig in, but just make sure you're paying for services that you're actually using. And it's typically not much that you find, right? But it adds up. And so that's what I want to put kind of the bug in your ear on that one, because it might be 15,000 a year, but you're 5 million in top line. But it's still wasted expense. There's no ROI in the business. You're not using this service. And so why not just put that money in your pocket, or rebuy inventory, or use it for acquiring customers, right? Just do the exercise and you're going to be happy. Okay. Last one that I just want to hit on that can be literally devastating is when you realize you have economic nexus and sales tax in multiple states that you weren't accounting for. Now, there are ways you can get around that if you weren't collecting, but if you automatically start collecting in certain states, you need to pay that to the states. Right. And so you just want to validate, one, that you are collecting enough. So understand by state how much you collected and how much was paid. You don't want to be not collecting enough and then just be paying sales tax, right? So understand that, and understand when you hit the thresholds of economic nexus in each state and when you have to register. And again, there's software out there to do that, but you just need to understand sales tax, because you don't want to get to the end of the year, not be monitoring this, and then understand, like, if you are ever audited, that you are liable for quite a bit of dolores. You know what I mean? So understand your economic sales tax nexus. And this could be a silent killer in the fact of after the fact, right? Like, that could come to you and then you owe this liability, hadn't collected, yet you're still on the hook for it. And that is just absolutely devastating. And so don't want to see that happen to you. That's my list. Hopefully you found it valuable. Give me a thumbs up. Let's see if it does it. There it is. All right. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave me a comment and I will make sure that I get them answered. We'll see you next time.